So Anita Sarkeesian, the famous feminist pop culture media critic, most notable for criticizing video games, her series of, men are evil because video games are fucked up and sexist and blah blah fucking blah.
Well, actually, Anita Sarkeesian's general point with her video game critiques is that the video gaming market and the video gaming landscape and culture are a little bit sexist and a little bit inclusionary, and video games could potentially benefit from being less inclusionary. I don't see anything seriously ethically objectionable to that.
And all of those arguments have been torn apart thousands of times by fucking hundreds of people. I'm not going to just add to that fray, but recently she was invited to speak at Utah State University. Her speaking engagement was canceled because she received the following threat. So obviously some fucking deranged psycho writes this crazy fucking letter, which is nothing more, in all likelihood, than an intimidation tactic. People send threats all the fucking time. I get threats.
Do you honestly think it's fair to compare getting threats online to a university campus getting a threat of fucking gunfire from one of their students?
I've gotten threats from Christians, I've gotten threats from Muslims, I've gotten threats from Buddhists, I've gotten threats from conservatives, I've gotten threats from racists, I've gotten threats from feminists. In fact, there was a men's rights event held in Detroit not too long ago by a Voice for Men, and plenty of feminists said they're gonna bomb the event. They had no intention of actually bombing the event. They just wanted the event to be canceled under the threat of bombing.
Yes, because obviously if one group of extremists are making a fake threat, that means another group of extremists who have done a lot more violence than the other group of extremists are making a fake threat as well.
And that kind of gets me to the title of this video, Anita Sarkeesian versus Marilyn Manson. Anita Sarkeesian is supposed to go speak at USU. She's supposed to go present her beliefs. She's supposed to talk about what she supposedly believes at the core of her being. These are her core principles that we're talking about here. She's supposed to go speak on those. But one guy...
Considering the person who wrote this letter continuously mentions that, another shooter was a hero for men everywhere, how much he loves men, and how much that these feminist quote-unquote harpies are quote-unquote whores, I don't think it's very presumptuous to assume that this is a male writing this. I think that's just a well-reasoned conclusion.
Presumably a guy threatens to attack the event, threatens to do this big shooting rampage, and they're just like, nope, I'm not doing it now.
Considering the fact that this is all happening post-Elliot Rodger, post all of the MRA shooters, post all of the school shootings that have happened the last 4 or 5 years, are you honestly surprised that the university decided to cancel this event? It's not that shocking, and it's honestly kind of reasonable, in my opinion.
So they gave this guy, presumably, exactly what he wanted. And it kind of reminds me of the time... Remember back in 1998, some of you were probably a little too young, there was the Columbine shooting.
I don't mean to nitpick, however, the Columbine shooting happened in 1999, and the controversy with Marilyn Manson started around 2000. This is just a minor correction.
And the entire media sphere seemed to want to pin it inexplicably on Marilyn Manson. These weird kids shot up the school, and we don't, the only thing we know about weird kids is they like Marilyn Manson, so therefore, it must have been the music of Marilyn Manson that inspired this horrible and heinous act. So basically Manson became the scapegoat. And a year later, Manson returned to Colorado, to Denver, Colorado.
Keyword, a fucking year. He didn't do it while the threats of violence and everything were still completely hot. He waited a little while for things to cool down, at least a little bit, because Manson is a reasonable person.
to put on a show. And that show was plagued with bomb threats, with death threats against Manson. If Manson takes the stage, we're gonna take him out.
Bit disingenuous considering Manson's shows have always been met with these kinds of things since about the Antichrist Superstar era, which was 3 years before Columbine happened, but whatever.
And you know what Manson did? Manson went out on the fucking stage. Manson sang his songs. He did his set. You know how many people bombed him or shot him? Fucking zero.
First of all, appeal to statistical probability. Just because the likelihood of something happening or not happening is higher than the other doesn't necessarily mean that it still can't happen. Furthermore, you say this after mentioning Columbine, an event which both of the school shooters had a video blog website dedicated to marking the event. Also, I should bring up Elliot Rodgers' last video before Retribution. People do sometimes plan these things out and confess them beforehand.
For all that fucking saber rattling, no one did anything. And you know why? Because people who legitimately want to commit violent acts against you, typically, they don't fucking announce it to you. They don't fucking tell you, hey, I'm coming over later to kill you. Like Michael Myers doesn't phone ahead and say, hey, Jamie Lee Curtis, guess what? I'm coming. So I'll be there in like an hour or two. Gonna fucking stab the shit out of you.
Small criticism here. If you are going to tell a joke, please make it a bit more concise. Just a piece of advice, not trying to insult you or anything.
You're still at this address, right? Well, stay there, because I'm coming. That's not how, like, threats are designed to intimidate. They're designed to make people feel scared.
Yes, they are. However, to say that they don't also sometimes lead to violence would be a lie, and you know that.
And Anita Sarkeesian obviously was scared. And you know what? It makes sense to be scared. And this person's actions should absolutely be condemned. And the stuff they wrote is crazy. But to kowtow to that person, to just bend over and fucking take it and say, you know what, if this person wants the event canceled, then we'll cancel it.
How do you know Anita Sarkeesian canceled the event herself? How do you know it wasn't the school who did it?
All that sends is the message, I'm willing to be intimidated by thugs.
Showing signs of fear under intimidation makes sense. Let's say that you are outside and someone starts threatening to beat the shit out of you. They're just up in your space, they're threatening to fucking kill you. Well, if you get fear, that will trigger a fight or flight response, fight or flight or freeze, and you act on one of those three. That's rational, it's sane, and to be honest, it's kind of worked out well for human beings. Usually what happens when people without guns stand up to people with guns is the people without guns die. And to clarify before anyone makes this argument, no, I'm not saying to cower in fear of anyone with a gun your entire life. I'm saying that if you can avoid a situation which could conceivably get not only you, but several others killed, it would probably be a good idea to avoid that situation.
And what is the first in the series of Anita Sarkeesian video game critiques? It's the damsel in distress. Oh, the damsel in distress. These people in the media, these video game creators, they just want to present women as these damsels who are constantly in need of rescuing by men. But what does Anita Sarkeesian do when she faces danger? Does she face it head on? Does she fucking set a good example by saying, I will not be intimidated? Hell no.
Yes, because apparently video games are now reality. I don't think it's very irrational to step out of a situation where your fucking life is on the line.
She tucks her tail between her legs and she fucking runs. I mean, I've gotten death threats. People know my address. People fucking send me, this is where you live and I'm coming to kill you. You know what I fucking do? I'm just like, okay. Well, if you're gonna do it, you're gonna fucking do it, aren't you? I don't fucking call the police. I don't even lose any fucking sleep over that shit.
That's likely because, statistically speaking, no one has ever probably come to your house. And even if they have come to your house, they probably haven't come to do violent things. Now, with that being said, the statistics of what Anita Sarkeesian backed out from, that whole threat thing, that actually has some statistical backing behind it for why they would want to pull out of something like that. You can't quantify these two situations.
Anita Sarkeesian is a fucking coward, and she's setting a terrible example for the people who do look up to her by letting herself be intimidated by thugs and bullies, and in my opinion, it's just one more thing that shows a complete lack of character on her part, and is why she's undeserving of the status of being anybody's fucking role model.
Aren't you people the guys who say that, rape victims or whatever should take some personal responsibility and, handle the way they conduct themselves a little better? Well, now you guys are the ones that when someone does take a little bit of personal responsibility, quote unquote, and does attempt to handle a situation which they can prevent because they know it might happen, when someone does that, they're now just a pussy. No. Which side are you on?
I'm the Amazing Atheist. Peace the fuck out. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe to my channel. And also, you know what's coming. Buy my shirt!
Even if I was still a fan of you, I still wouldn't buy your shirt. This is not a slam against you. I just simply don't like the design very much.